All right, we are right at 12 o'clock. Welcome, everybody. My name's Sarah McVanel. Thrilled that you could be here. I have my amazing virtual assistant colleague, Caroline. Wave to everyone, Caroline. She is a rock star. If anyone needs a virtual assistant, I'm telling you, nobody is better than Caroline, I'm sure. Thrilled that you're all here. I'm going to share my screen with you because I would love to share with you some content that I put together here. Just pull it up. All right, and from current slide. And one of the things I'll just mention to you is that it's a little bit slow. The PowerPoint and the virtual technology together sometimes takes a little bit of time to be able to communicate back and forth, but hopefully it won't be that delayed. All right. So before we jump right in, I just want to mention, please do use the chat if you want to ask a question, if you have a comment, if you have a suggestion. I am going to be asking you some questions and getting your feedback throughout. And at the same time, I don't want you to feel like you need to wait for that. Please go ahead and jump in anytime. That is why one of the many reasons why Caroline is here supporting us all today. So I wanted to start by asking you, if you have been in a situation where you are living the life, you are living the dream, you've got all the things that everyone says you're supposed to have, you've got the title, you got the job, you've had the kids, you've got all of the things education-wise that you're supposed to have, and you think that you got it all figured out. Well, I may or may not have had that situation myself. And a couple of years ago, realized through a mental health crisis that my son had, and I'm going to share very briefly with you that to you a little bit later, that in fact my concept of what prioritizing the most important things turned on its head upside down overnight. And so I really want to present the opportunity through this time we have together for you to take a look at the things that you believed and knew that you wanted to examine in terms of prioritizing the most important things, as well as the invitation that there may be things that aren't even on your radar yet. For me, it was a wake-up call through my son. There's lots of other reasons why people are joining us. In fact, I'm going to ask you that question in a sec, what you would hope to get out of our conversation today. But I just want to share with you from a truly authentic place. I have had to revisit this a number of times about what is truly the most important things in life. And when we make different choices and reframe what's most important, I hope everyone realizes the importance of self-care and compassion, that it's not that we were down the wrong path. It's just time to shift paths. And one of the ways in which I was able to do that, we're not going to do it today, but I'm sure that other folks have been doing this. In fact, Heidi, I think you've got some cool stuff that you do related to using visual images. A vision board helped to tell me the story that I actually was on, I needed to be on a different path. And in fact, you could probably see behind me vision boards and helping to create future visions of what's most important is a wonderful way that I use in my life to recalibrate that. In fact, this board right behind me is a brand new one that I just did. Now, the one that you're seeing on the screen was quite a shock to me. As a professional coach, you think you got things all figured out when you can help people figure other things out, and you realize, you discover about yourself, sometimes that's not the case. Because when I looked at my vision board that I created 3 years ago, almost to the day, so much of what my day-to-day life was like actually was not what I was living. We were living in the country or in a subdivision, nothing. And subdivisions, it just happened to be not part of my vision. We were eating a lot of packaged food, going out to eat, and yet my vision has all kinds of healthy whole foods. It has fitness and dance. Well, I was taking virtually no time for that. It had vacations. Well, we were up to our eyeballs in debt, and there were no vacations that we had as a family. And then there was also in the top corner to the left was all kinds of things about speaking, which I had no time to do. And so I want to share with you that the desire to offer this to you today is really because I've realized that if we don't have a stepwise process to be able to evaluate what's most important. And we have those opportunities. So, vision board was one of my ahas. Maybe you'll have an aha today. I'm sure that you've been on this journey for a while. It's what does the universe need to tell us about what's working and what's not working? And there's lots of things that are. So I'm going to share with you my 10 best strategies to help prioritize the most important things in work and life. And there will probably be an 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th strategy you can offer the group. It's a matter of what's most important on your path right now. And so I encourage you, if you don't have a piece of paper handy, and of course, if you're driving, this is all good for mental notes. Please don't grab that paper. It probably wouldn't be a bad thing to have that paper available to you to be able to write an insight, a note, an inspiration, a call to action. Welcome everyone who's joining us on the line. And also, I want to let you know that so many of the resources that I'm going to refer to that we maybe don't have time to dive into today there's lots of free resources on my website as well under the cool stuff tab, because it is cool stuff. All right. So my question to all of you, and I'd love for you to use the chat feature if you'd like. If you can unmute yourself, if you're able to, we're able to hear you, you're welcome just to jump in, say your name. What's motivating you to be here today? I've shared with you a little bit about what's motivating me to offer it. Why did you choose to prioritize this? Heidi, you've unmuted yourself. What's motivating you to show up today?
Oh, the topic is just perfect. I just finished running a 6-week course on habits and taking care of ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I was hoping some of my participants would be able to join in today, because it's just a lot of great stuff came out of our discussions. Mm-hmm. So I think that's part of it. I just wanted to, I really respect you, Sarah, and I wanted to kind of dip my toe in and see what you're doing. That's one part of it. I love the topic about prioritizing. I'm running a big collage workshop this weekend for mothers at Mother's Day. So we're going to be talking about what it means to be a mother and a working mother. So the topic was just perfect. So thank you for having us here today.
Pleasure. Thanks for being here, Heidi. Okay, Dental Center. Hi, everyone. Amazing to have you. And so busy time schedule. Yep. We probably can all relate to that. Long to-do list. Organizing and using time effectively, prioritizing. Oh, I'm so glad that you said that. I mean, these all are concepts that are interwoven, and we are going to get to that. So much of what stands in our way of prioritizing what's most important in our life is that, in fact, we are spending our time doing things that aren't really that important in the grand scheme of things. So this will really help with time management, with prioritizing the most important things. So that's awesome. Thanks, guys. Anyone else who'd like to jump into the chat and let us know what is motivating you to be here? Go ahead and do that as I continue to move on. When I chat with people in my coaching world about what they feel is most important in their life, here's a little word cloud of some of the things that come up. And just because kids and small is health is small, just because that's what the word cloud decided. Because for all of us, it's different. For somebody, personal growth is so important and they need to spend time for personal growth. For somebody else, it's their finances. And so what they're showing up with is going to be a little bit different. And it's taking the time to figure out and think about what's most important. And you're going to have an opportunity throughout this. I'm going to prompt you to be reflecting on some of those things. Let me just see if I can progress. But my question to you first off is, what picture best depicts your life, how you're feeling your life is like right now? So is it picture number 1 where it's about targeted goals? I'm really focused. Number 2, you're so tired, you're asleep at your desk. I have to say, having been up at 5:30 every morning all week, mine may be number 2. Is it number 3 with this Zen, chilled out sister? Or is it number 4 where there are so many post-it notes? I don't know. We don't even know how to get on top of it. So if you want to just chat in the chat box, what is your current reality? 1, 2, 3, or 4? And for those of us who are together as a group, yeah, I've got a lot of 3s and 4s. Oh, I love the 3s. I love how people are showing up already in that Zen mode. We've got some, Tammy is a 2. Paris Dental's all 4. You've probably got patients all waiting for you, and they're all on the post-it notes on top of everything else. Catherine's a 4. Yeah. So my question then is, what would you like it to look like? If you got a chance to choose by the end of this module and webinar and you've got a great new tool, which one of these pictures would you like it to be? Same pictures. Which one are we going for today? Okay, we've got 1 and 3. Awesome. We've got a combination. 1 and 3. 1, 1. Okay. Wow, that's awesome, because sharing the 10 steps is a little bit more like number 1 than it is number 3. So we've even structured the webinar so that it meets your needs. And throughout all of this, as I'm sure many of you know, my brand is Frog, Forever Recognize Others' Greatness. And so I just want to stand in the place of, can we agree that we're going to let nothing stand in the way of our own greatness? Because if we stand for other people's greatness, we are just so much more resourceful when we stand for our greatness first. Okay, so that would be creative spelling for all 2 O's, Forever Recognize Our Own Greatness. Can we agree? Can we just chat in the chat box? Yes. Are we going to let nothing stand in the way of our greatness? If you're on the fence about it, you could put maybe. I just want to get curious about, are people ready for this? Because I'm really standing in the place that you deserve. Oh my God, we have like caps screaming, yes, yes, yes. Yeah, nothing's going to stand in the way. That's awesome. Okay, cool. So a goal, of course, I love this phrase. I'm sure many of you have heard of this. A goal without a plan is just a wish. And so part of what we're working towards in our time together today is to be able to have an intention. So as we go through this, I really encourage you to think about, what is the one thing, and Brent or Carly, you're going to love this. What's your one next step to be able to move towards prioritizing the most important things? And of course, it's even when you're motivated, we still need to have a plan, because it still can just be a wish even when we're motivated. And so we're all motivated on this call today. This is great. And what focus and intention? So let's jump right into these top 10 ways to prioritize. And I would love for you to chat in the chat box anytime. If you have an example, if you have a story, if you have an amen, that's the most important one that you've experienced or that you want to practice, go for it. So Stephen Covey talks about how we need to have the big rocks in our life first. And I don't know if you've experienced this in your life, where you put in, there's so much sand. So on the left-hand side, this jar, the emails, the errands, the permission slips, if you've got young kids at home, the tasks, oh gosh, we run out of bananas, got to get bananas. And so there's so many little things we fill our day with. And then, of course, there's pebbles. There's things that are important that it maybe aren't as essential. So, for some of us, Facebook's a pebble. For some of us, Facebook's just sand. We can get lost in the vortex of it. But the point is, it's probably not one of the most important things that's going on in our life. If we try to put the most important things, that word cloud slide that I had before, where it talked about fitness and kids and health and personal development, those big rocks those are the most important things. And so, yeah, Heidi, love this reminder, big rocks. That's the most important place to start. If there's nothing you take away from this time together, and if you decide, that's it, I'm tapping out, that's enough, Sarah, that's great. This is the most important thing that I hope you remember, is that you deserve to prioritize your big rocks. And who's a big rock? Who's a big rock? You are. So it's what are the things that are most important? And notice on the right-hand side, all of that we have on the left is actually in the jar on the right. The same rocks, but the big rocks are put in first. The most important things go in first. The pebbles then go around it, and the sand fits around the things that when we have already taken care of the big rocks. So my question is, what are your big rocks? When you think about, again, that word cloud may have had a lot of those things that are your big rocks. Type in the chat box, what are your big rocks? Or what's the biggest rock that you want to stand for today? It may be you. It may be professional development. It could be fitness. It could be eating right. What's your big rock? What is the most important big rock in your life that you want to stand for and that you're going to carry through and keep front and center in your mind throughout this webinar? And those of you who are just listening and can't type, that's totally fine. All right, Caroline, self-development. And Catherine, finding a new job. Awesome. And a great job that fits your talents, right, Catherine? All right, Heidi, quiet time. Absolutely. Every day, being totally centered. Love it. Caroline, continuously learning. Awesome. And me, love it. Me, family. And then Deb, I think that's Deb, right? Time with my family. Awesome. Okay. So really, honestly, you don't have to type this in the chat box, but really think about how much is that big rock showing up as a big rock in your life? Just be honest with yourself. You don't have to tell the rest of us. Be really honest and not to beat yourself up, because self-compassion is fundamental in being able to prioritize what's most important in work and life. So from that really compassionate place, how much is that big rock showing up in your life right now? And Heather says balance. That's awesome. Okay. So then how do you get to those big rocks then? One of the most effective strategies is to schedule time. You can see this super happy sister who's not only got this amazingly balanced schedule, and see all of her big rocks are in red, and you know, she's probably paying her credit card debts on time, and she's only got the one post-it note. So look at her. She's so chilled out. She doesn't even have a flip phone. It's amazing. She's just so progressive. But the point is, how can you fit in your big rocks first? Now, one of the things that I was really missing out on when I wasn't prioritizing my big rocks, and not that I've got it all figured out. Just ask Caroline. I rushed from a client meeting to be here on time for all of you today. So I don't have it all figured out. That said, it's a little bit clearer to me now than it's been in the past. When I was living that life where it was this treadmill and it wasn't by design, it was kind of by default, I hardly ever worked out. Fitness was, if I could fit it in, I considered it a pebble, and sometimes it was even sand. I decided, if I am not exercising and I am not doing exercise that I enjoy, and those two things had to be combined, AKA I don't run. Love all you runners in the world. I wish I could. But it had to be yoga. And I had to fit it into my life, not expect my life to fit around my yoga. And so what I do every Saturday morning, if you try to reach me between 8:30 and 9:30, Saturday and Sunday morning, there is a good chance that I will not be responding to your text, because I'll be in a yoga class. And that's how I can fit it into my family's life, to my life, and still be able to fit the other big rocks around it. So I really want to emphasize the point that find a way to schedule your big rock in a way that works for you, the way that works for your family. Because if you make a commitment, then you're more likely to do it. And this is going to be related to the third point that we're going to talk around about an accountability partner. We're going to get to that in a sec. What I'm going to ask just all of you to think about is, when you have successfully done that, when you've scheduled in time for balance, when you've scheduled in time for your family, fitness, personal growth, what's life like? I mean, I have to say my life felt a bit more like this than it did before. What has been the impact for you when you're able to schedule time in? Does it feel oppressive? Does it feel freeing? Is it energizing? You know, how does that feel for you? Just chat, put it in the chat box. You made it happen every day, Heidi says. And you were saying that, but I mean, I often struggle, to let, and others sometimes have to struggle around with us, right? Is that sometimes we prioritize something and others don't get it. Okay. So, lots of people are dependent on us. I think we have all women on the line. And so, sometimes people are resentful of us prioritizing our big rocks. And yet they have to realize that we are a better version of ourselves, and that we can frog them. We can recognize our own greatness when in fact we are resourceful and whole. So that's great. Thank you so much. So Tammy, it's I feel like you're going from sun up to sundown. Absolutely. So how can you prioritize? And we're going to talk about this in a sec. How do you fit time in for that big rock? And I'm not going to ask you to try to find new time. We're going to talk about a strategy in a sec about how do you take time away. The sand that I was talking about, how do you get rid of some of that? Catherine feels calmer when she has time for it. Paris Dental, you rock stars. You feel awesome, feel good, you feel accomplished. And isn't that true, right? Don't we often find that when we have time for our big rocks, that everything else just feels a little bit calmer in our life, and that we celebrate that we've managed to achieve what we need to achieve in our day. And you do things better because I'm a better me. Awesome, Deb. That's so cool. And so my question to you, my challenge to you is, when can you fit in your biggest rock? if it's you time, if it's reflection time, if it's personal development, whatever it is, when can you fit it in? And on that piece of paper that you have out, or if you have your phone, grab your scheduling feature, block time, or write down a note about when you can do it. And even if it's small, even if it's 5 minutes right now, even if it's just, you're going to experiment with a Saturday morning or a Sunday evening or a tonight, you're going to try it tonight. Be experimental in this. And that's part of self-compassion as well. So when can you fit in your big rock? So the next piece around being successful is have an accountability partner. So Tammy's talking about summer's here. It's trailer time each weekend. So I'm sure you've got somebody, Tammy, that you do that with. Got a built-in accountability partner, whoever you go to the trailer with. Lots of people I hear from a fitness standpoint, they go with somebody, or they want somebody to text them. Are you going to run today? How can you build an accountability partner? And this is where, when we were talking a little bit earlier about sometimes other people, there's so many people depending on us. How can we give them an important job to do? How can we make them responsible for helping us? Whether it's they go and they run with you, or I sometimes tell my kids, okay, guys, when mom's grouchy, because it happens, you need to tell me, go have a bath. And you know what? They do. Sometimes I realize after I'm in the bath, all right, that was very good counsel. Give them a job to do and to be your accountability partner so that you have that balance. And, I love this picture where the dude's like with the big muscles is trailing behind this, this like fit woman, like sometimes our accountability have to trail behind us, but really seriously, who can help you and support you in doing that? So again, on your paper that you've got out, who is your accountability partner for your big rock? And even if your big rock is you, who is going to stand for you always? Who is going to make sure you take care of you? So even if you, and it can be you can set reminders and use all kinds of ways of being able to be your own accountability partner too, but externalize that job because it can't all be down to you. And so who can hold you accountable, of course, is the question. Who can hold you accountable to your biggest rock? And feel free to pop in the chat box who you already have as your accountability partner or who you're going to ask. All right. Saying yes is the next thing. Has anyone had that experience where as an adult, you look back and you go, oh, I used to love doing that, or I've always wanted to do that. A lot of us, stop dreaming. We get so serious. We've got bills to pay. We've got kids to raise, to be great human beings. We've got so many things going on. And yet we've stopped dreaming. We stopped thinking about what we want. And so a really practical strategy, and some of you may have followed the work of Michael Bungay-Stainer. He's a coach out of Toronto. He's written a really cool book called Do More Great Work. And I think we can adapt it for our purposes. If you were to draw a circle on your piece of paper, and you don't even have to do this now, you can use this as homework if this interests you. How much is great things that you do in your day? What is good? It's okay, it's kind of like the pebbles, right? It's important. And what's actually bad work? It's really just sand. And I'm going to give you your first giveaway to what's in sand. It's probably Twitter, unless it's for your business. It's probably emails. It's probably running to the grocery store for the 6th time that same week. It might be paying your bills every time they come in as opposed to, lumping them all up together. It's probably moving your pile of papers to the other side of your desk. There's lots of things that we do that aren't really productive uses of our time. So to be able to say yes to things, we first have to figure out what is most important. So that's a piece of homework that I want to offer to all of you as a really helpful exercise. What third do you have that's great work, that's what you spend on your biggest priorities? And, and I love Caroline saying, my amazing husband's going to be your accountability, that partner. That's awesome. And have him do this exercise with you, right? Get really clear on what percentage you're spending on your great stuff. And I'll tell you that, the reality of living this perspective of I'm going to increase the amount of good and great ways I spend my time allows you to do things that you never thought possible. It was very shocking to my mother one Christmas when my husband gave me for Christmas skydiving passes. Yeah, it's the only time I think she has walked out of a room and then said to my husband when she left the house, I refuse to talk to you. She's a really lovely, lovely, kind, caring woman. But the idea of somebody who's married to me choosing to have somebody throw me out of an airplane 12,000 feet in the air, who knew? She kind of took that as an affront on my health. But it was something I've always wanted to do. And I had told myself that I'm probably never going to be able to do that, never make time for it because I'm a busy working mom, and that busy working moms don't leave their children to go have fun and do stuff like that. It wasn't until I was on the ground and had the most elevating experience, no pun intended, that was just a bonus, yeah. Truly amazing experience of my life, not only because it was something off my bucket list, and I had so few things off my bucket list, but also I realized that I could say yes to things even though I have a whole bunch of other things on my plate. I don't know if anyone else had an experience like that, skydiving or I started tap dancing when I was 39. Like, what are some of your things that you decided to reprioritize and start to do that you had to just make a stand for? I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do a yoga retreat. Oh, absolutely. You did twice already this year, Heidi. That's amazing. Amazing. What else have folks been doing to say yes? And my other question is, what will you say yes to now? What will you say yes to now? So Caroline, traveling as much as you can afford to do. Awesome. Deb, reading for pleasure after you finish grad school. And you know what? May I offer? Chick lit is just so easy to just read one page at a time. Why wait until after grad school? I know that grad school is very busy and you're working and you're raising a family. And could you get a book and just read one page a day, or whenever you get a few minutes? Like, put it on your phone and read a page. Make it an app. So it's absolutely reading for pleasure. It's so important. And then, of course, saying no. This poor dude on the stairs looks very uncomfortable. He's not saying no to enough stuff. And so what do we need to say no to? And of course, with so many people depending on us, we don't want to say no to anybody. How many people here showed up to find out, how can I prioritize myself and disappoint other people? I really wish the webinar had been called that. None of us are willing to make that trade-off. And yet, people demand, right? Our colleagues, they need stuff from us. Our computer, my goodness, those emails don't stop just because we had a busy day. And even our doctor office is calling us. You haven't booked your physical. And then they call you back again and call you back again. And then you have to, and thank goodness people take care of their teeth, right? Paris Dental Office, thank goodness they're prioritizing that. The things that we need to do, they pile up. And so the question is, if we're prioritizing what's most important, what do we have to start saying no to? And so that it doesn't feel like we're sacrificing the most important things. We're not sacrificing our physical health by not doing our dental and our health checkups. We're not sacrificing our family, our colleagues, our collegial relationships. We're able to still do what's most important. So the question is, think about the sand that's in your jar. When you really think about the sand, what are you willing to get rid of? Oh, I love the healthy smiles. That you're not getting rid of healthy smiles, Paris Dental. But yeah, you're prioritizing. You're saying yes to healthy smiles. So everyone, what will you say no to? What is something that you're going to put a limit on? Even if it's not a total no, what are you going to put a limit on it? I'll give you an example of what I put a limit on. God bless my husband's grandfather, 95 years young. He lives up near the Quebec border. It takes 6 hours in good traffic to get there. You know what? Respectfully, I say no to visiting more than once a year. I've heard all the stories. He still thinks my name is Sandra. All of you know my name is Sarah, and some of you have only just met me. God love the man. I am saying no to a visit more than once a year. I'll say yes to prioritizing family, and my husband can say as much as yes as he wants to. But I have to tell you, I am saying no to visit more than once a year. And then I prioritize myself in the time when Mark and the kids are up there. All right, Caroline, limited weekend work. Absolutely. So you can spend more time with your family for sure. And sometimes we have to block out that time of where we are prioritizing that, going back to point number 2, to be able to authentically stick with that. Oh, we've got some
Northern Lights College offers a wide variety of programming in trades and
We're
apprenticeships.
going to have to mute somebody. Okay, perfect. Never mind. But all right. So next thing is say maybe. How many people here learn this assertiveness strategy around buying time? I used to teach a lot of communication skills workshops, and I often found, and healthcare is my background, that not saying yes was a real challenge for a lot of people, because we want to take care of people, we want to support them. So maybe, and ways of saying maybe is a key strategy. I just want to acknowledge Tammy. Tammy's got a great point. She's organizing a lot of events around your family. You love your husband, but he needs to take the lead on organizing events. Air high five, sister. Air high five. Absolutely love it. That's great. So so saying no to organizing everything for our husband. Oh God, yes. So here's a great strategy for you, Tammy. I think you're really going to like this. So saying maybe is a great way to buy time. And so we want to be able to spend the time doing the things that matter most. Sometimes we have to be able to have the tough conversations. And so a great way to soften the maybe is, that sounds a really exciting project. Can I get back to you? I just have to double check with my family as if we have time to fit it in. Another example is, oh my God, wow, April, that sounds crazy. Wow, that sounds great. I know we've got some things in April. Let me just check to see if I'm available that weekend. So buy yourself some time. Does anyone else have some words or some strategies that they've used around buying time and buying yourself an opportunity to reflect on it? So while you're typing those ideas, where this connects to some of our earlier strategies is to be able to prioritize the most important things, those big rocks, that we need to be able to have time to be able to keep that in our schedule even when other things pop up. Otherwise it's squirrel, and so being able to say maybe allows you to go back and remember what is the biggest priority in the first place. Does that make sense, everyone? Yeah. So I really encourage you to, if you have your paper there handy, to write down what is a maybe strategy. Again, one of the suggestions I had was, that sounds like a really interesting event. Can I get back to you? Another example is, wow, that's, I love your enthusiasm. I just have to check in. I just have to check in with some other folks in my family or at my work, so buy a bit of time. Okay, so Deb says, so at work, where all the calendar requests, it's pretty zany. So always ask what the value you would provide in being able to meet with that group. And so I love it. You're so right, Deb. It's not a no. You're just making sure that that's the best use of your time. And haven't you found, Deb, and Tammy was saying the same, haven't you found that people respect you more because you respect your own time? I mean, so much of what we're talking about today is teaching people how to treat us. And when we believe that we're worth it and our time's valuable, that people treat our time as valuable too. Okay, great to see you, Heidi. No probs. Okay. So number 6. So what will your maybe phrase be? And now here's the next piece. So love up your timer. And this is something that a colleague of mine had shared. I love this woman. So this lady, Kim Shepard, on the left-hand side. I met her. I went to a conference. I was speaking in the morning. She was speaking just before me. I had heard her talk. I said, wow, it's amazing. Kim, if you could believe it, is 60 years young, this dynamo. She's just actually sold multi-million-dollar business that she built from the ground up in under 10 years. And it's incredibly successful. And one of her best strategies, she says the reason why she's so successful and her whole team successful is because they have a 45-15 productivity prioritization rule. You set your timer, your smartphone, whatever your way of prioritizing for 45 minutes. And you work flat out uninterrupted. You close your door, you turn off your notifications, you silence your phone, unless you're, of course, an emergency room trauma surgeon. Okay, I get it. Somebody may need you in that 45 minutes. A good portion of us, at least at some point during our day, we can carve off 45 minutes uninterrupted. So Paris Dental, if you're working on a project, You can't be doing that while you're also dealing with, pop-up client situations, can you? You need uninterrupted time to be able to get core project work done. So 45 minutes uninterrupted. 15 minutes is whatever you want. You can fill it with sand, answer an email, return text from your kids, the sixth text from your teenager that says, can we please have pizza? Can we please have pizza? You can respond back, maybe with a maybe. But the point is, it's 15 minutes to do whatever you want. And maybe you're going to do something that feeds your soul too. Maybe you're going to go for a walk or make yourself some tea and eat something. Wouldn't that be amazing, going to the bathroom before the end of the day? Just saying, it can happen. So the 45-15 productive prioritization, that is a key strategy. So love up your timer. And even if you only use the strategy once a day, a couple times a week, Kim and her team, they use this all day long. They know between the quarter to the hour and on the hour is when you call each other. They respect it, that their entire culture respects it. And so what could you try today? What's one thing that you could try to do to prioritize that 45-15 minute rule? And you can do this in your personal life too. So if at work that's not quite the way things work around here, or I think that might be a tough sell, why not try it in your personal life? If you wanted to get to the weeding, here it is spring, weeds in abundance, and you never get to it. What about 45 minutes? I don't know about you, but I hate weeding. I can set my timer for 45 minutes, get it done, make my house beautiful, and then I get to play for 15 minutes and do whatever I want. I'm probably more likely to get to other things that actually are pebbles if I practice the strategy too. The next thing we need to do is, and Tammy, yeah, you close your office door. Absolutely. I love that. So Caroline says, yeah, great idea. So simple to implement. It's so true. Kim will actually tell you, she's got data on this. She believes that her company has made millions of dollars because of that productivity cycle, because of the amount of time. The average time that it takes to get back on track once you've been interrupted and truly in the zone, completely 100% back in your activity. You know how many minutes it takes? Just take a guess, guys. Pop in the chat box. How many minutes do you think it takes to get back on track to what you're doing? 30? Yeah. 20? Oh, you guys are good. 5? Yeah. Well, they say the average is 8, but it could well take longer than that for some of us to really, truly be back in the zone. And so, hey, if let's say 8's on the conservative side, still, do we have 8 minutes in our day multiple times over? Think of how many times you're interrupted to be able to get back on track. So shut out. So part of this is not just, of course, shutting the door like we've been talking about. It's also shutting out the noise to be able to do what's most important. I started writing a book before I left my last job because I just was so passionate about the topic of recognition. And again, Frog, forever recognize others' greatness. And I didn't think anybody in my family was watching because I just carve out an hour or two here or there. If in the summertime when I was working, my husband would be up at the cottage with the kids. And so I'd work all weekend long. From the time I woke up until the time I went to bed, all day long, to try to make that a priority. And I didn't think my family was really watching. I didn't think they realized what I was doing while they were up at the cottage or while I was squirreling away in the basement for an hour while they were busy playing with their friends, but they were paying attention. And I know because my daughter, this project came home and said, who do you pick to do to interview? And she chose her mom. She's in my will. Yeah. And then she wrote about Mom's writing this book and she knew what it was called. She didn't know how to spell it. And of course, thank God for teachers that they found it necessary to correct the spelling. Greatness, like you couldn't have left alone anyway. But people are noticing. People are noticing when you're prioritizing the things that are most important, and they're proud of you. And they are more likely to get on side with you and support you to do more of it when they see you shutting that out. So don't assume that just because you're having to shut yourself in and shut out the noise, that people aren't watching and you're being a great role model. So how can you shut something out that actually allows you to be able to tune in, which is our next one. Tune in. Here's me in Shavasana. When I was wrestling with what are we going to do to sort of recalibrate our life so that this mental health challenge that I'm going to tell you about in a sec, that of my son, it can become the most important priority, that it can become a big rock. Because I'll be honest with you, he had anxiety and depression, anxiety for years since he was 4. And by the age of 10, it had gotten very serious. And he was even on antidepressants by this time. And his mental health was still a pebble. And you know what? I got to be totally transparent with you. Sometimes it was sand. That's not the kind of thing you want to be, a pebble or sand, is it right? And so I had to tune in to what was going on in my life that was stopping me from prioritizing such an important thing. And it was on my mat in Shavasana that I had a vision of a completely different life. And it's actually the life we're living now. We live in the country in beautiful Niagara. We have a barn that we're converting, and I can facilitate sessions like we did this together. It would be in our barn. And be able to do this kind of work full time. And I'm not saying that that's everybody's solution, that's everybody's strategy. But I tell you, it wasn't until I started getting on my mat regularly in yoga. And for you, it may be walking for hikes. It could be meditation. It could just be closing your door and having 5 minutes to breathe. I try very hard in the car. I was commuting to and from a client today that I didn't listen to the radio at all. The entire way there and the entire way back, it just about kills me when I have to just listen to myself in my car. But that's part of tuning in, because when I have had times in my life, as I share, that I haven't tuned in, I have missed some of the most important things in life. And so here's a great example, I think, in our family when we chose to tune in together. My aunt, very sadly, she passed away of breast cancer just shy of the age of 60. And a year after her passing, we got together as a celebration of life. And I have frogs, these little frog charms, and they're the pink ribbon that you see on the far right. Whoever was holding this frog charm was going to share a story, going to share a memory, or just examples of my aunt's greatness. And this is how we were going to remember her. By the end of it, and it goes to my uncle last, who's very much grieving like the day we lost her. He said with tears in his eyes, "I wish that we had just done this when Sue was alive." And my son pipes up and says, "Oh, she's watching from heaven. Don't you worry about that. You know, whether you believe in heaven or not, it's so cute." You know, so he really firmly believed that she had been paying attention the whole time. But my daughter said, "Well, it's true though. You know, here, the wisdom of kids, right? Well, why don't we do it for each other now?" And that's what we did. And so each of us spent time, each picked our favorite color of ribbon, and whoever was holding it, if they were talking about me, everyone would share an opportunity to share one word, a story, a few things about greatness that is mine. And even the people that didn't know each other very well, my cousin, her new fiance, with the second time meeting him, but we were all able to recognize his greatness because that's how obvious it is. And I got this picture 2 weeks later from my uncle. He had gone to Michael's and shadow boxed my aunt's charm, my cousin's, and my cousin's fiance. And it sits in his front hall as a testament to everyone's greatness. But that didn't happen. It wouldn't be in his hall right now if we as a family didn't tune into our greatness. And it was almost a missed opportunity. Had it not been for my daughter suggesting it, we may have missed it. And another example of that is my daughter's birthday party. Anyone here have girls that you had to have the girl birthday party? Just type in yes if you've got, yeah, Tammy's got her arms raised. I know, Carly, you've got 2. Yes, lots of us have girls. You know what you have to do for girls' birthday parties? You must go to Michael's or the dollar store now, and one must buy all kinds of puffy paint and maybe a frame or a mirror to decorate. It doesn't have to have a purpose. You just have to buy a thing to stick stickers on it. And yeah, you with me? You know this craft. And what as a parents come after the kids have done the craft, it's probably still like the glue is dripping off of it, and maybe the Tammy with an eye, the eye's already fallen off of it, and like, oh wow, thanks. And it's like you're thinking to yourself, oh God, what am I going to do with this piece of garbage? Like, seriously? And the kids forget about it. You throw it in the garbage when the kids are in bed and you hope that they don't ask for it later. We're having one of those those moments where we were doing the craft. And these girls are just recognizing each other back and forth. They're saying, oh, I love what you've created there. Wow, you're so talented. And I'm thinking, oh, this is another example of frogging. These girls, we talk about mean girls all the time. We talk about bullying, and yet these girls are recognizing each other in the moment. This is too juicy to miss. So I start running downstairs to my office to get these frog kudos cards. I need that. Do they here? No, I don't have. I'll find them somewhere. Anyway, but it doesn't matter. You could, you pull out anything. And I hear my daughter say to all of her friends, oh God, guys, she's going to facilitate us again. I do not know what the again was because I didn't think I'd been facilitating them. But anyway, and I come back upstairs and yes, I did facilitate them. I handed a little kudos card to each child and actually enough for them to write one word or a few words about each girl that was at the party, so that then we would put the spotlight on, and I filmed it so that the moms could see it. Dads, I'm sure, wanted to watch it too. So if it was Edie's turn, all the girls took turns reading their card and giving it to Edie, and then Edie had to read her own card about herself. And now, so instead of it being this cheesy craft, they walked away with a board full of their greatness. But the idea for that, even though I had the cards, even though we had planned the project, even though I facilitate workshops all the time around recognition, do you think that it occurred to me before I was noticing and tuning into those girls at the moment that was an opportunity? So that's the power of tuning in to our priorities. And I was prioritizing my daughter. Not that I wasn't answering the phone. I wasn't dealing with my son. She was the priority. And yet we can still tune in even further to get the next layer of possibilities with them. Next. Here's just Simone's video.
Awesome.
Oh,
Nice.
It's not really working.
I know that already.
This is my daughter. Sorry, it's not working.
Funny, beautiful, cool. Cool, that's nice. Cool, that's cool. Simone is funny, pretty, and lots of fun. That's what I was also looking for.
And what about you, Delphine?
She is very funny all the time.
Mm-hmm. And Simone, what I have for you is that I think you are athletic, creative, fun, and helpful. And what do you have to say about yourself, Simone? What is your greatness?
I'm awesome.
Yes, you are, girl.
Oh, if only we could be as confident as 10-year-old, 11-year-old girls, eh, guys? Sorry that the video wasn't working. I hope you heard the audio okay. So really, how can you tune in? Where's your place? Where's your environment? What's your impetus? What's your inspiration where you can really tune in? On that piece of paper that you have beside you, write down your thing. Type it in the chat box. How can you really tune in? Because, man, that is the best way to keep checking in with yourself about, am I prioritizing myself and what's most important? And I'm going to share number 10 with you as you type in how you tune in. So asking for help. When did we decide? I just have to ask. When did we decide that asking for help is a sign of weakness? That is a bad thing. That it's we do it as a last resort. I don't know about you, but a lot of the time I think asking for help, or I used to think asking for help meant that I wasn't doing my job. Okay, I'm just going to check back in here. So Caroline said, be present in the moment, not let other thoughts creep in. Oh, I love Deb. Yeah, no phones or electronics at the family dinner table for sure. We actually, I will let you know, according to my children, as much as they love me, that I am one of the meanest people because my kids aren't allowed screens before 7 o'clock at night. So yeah, I get a lot more likelihood to tune in with them before screen time because after that, it's just, hello. Okay, and Tammy, you shut off your work phone after all your staff have gone home. Yeah, and you change your text notifications for the big rocks of your family. I love it, love it. And Deb, yeah. So yeah, and you and me both. Yeah, Deb, you and I. Okay, good. I can tell my children that we're both mean moms. Okay, that's phew, what a relief. It's not just me. So asking for help. This is. Oh. So I'm just going to pause that for 1 sec. So at my very first speaker convention, you're just surrounded by amazing people. And I decided that I needed some help. My kids and my husband, my adopted first child, who is 45 at the time, very sad every time I talk to him and my children on the phone. When are you coming home? It's a very long time you're away. And I decided I needed to ask for some help from my speaker friends. I needed them to feel really important. And so I asked 3 different speakers that I thought that they would admire if they could do a personalized video for them. And this is the one that was filmed for Simone by Heather Moyse, 2-time Olympic bobsled gold medalist. And all I did was went up to her and said, "Hi, Heather, I'm a huge fan. My daughter's a gymnast, and she's starting to talk about body image stuff, and I do not want her to have any body image things. And you are strong and you're powerful. Would you mind if I just film you right now from my phone a message?" And obviously she said yes, because she's here. I hope you can hear this this play.
Had the great pleasure of meeting your mom here at this conference in Halifax. And she was telling me so much about what you're doing with gymnastics and everything, and I'm really excited for you and where you're going. Now, one thing she told me was that you're an amazing role model for all of your peers, and so it's really, really important that you are the strong one in everything. So you have to know that your message in how you treat your body and how you treat your strength and how you do all of those things are so important for you to live as an example of being a strong, powerful girl who's going to turn into a strong, powerful woman who's going to influence all of those people around. So eat lots of food, get lots of muscles, and go and kill it and crush it and have a wonderful life.
And you hear me going, "Oh," at the end, because I didn't know what to expect. I'd never met Heather before, but, and I could have told myself the story like, "Oh, Heather's too fancy and she doesn't know me, and that's a little bit too ballsy or too pushy to ask," but wouldn't have got a video. Ask me if my daughter said one thing about body image since watching that video. Nope. But she's asked to watch the video a lot of times. And now she can see Heather's come over and spent time with Simone. And they've talked about body image a bit more too. Really just, it was the easiest thing to do. And yet mentally, in the past, had I not really shifted to a whole other life where I really needed to ask for a lot of help, becoming an entrepreneur after working in healthcare your entire career and having a job, you have to ask for a lot of help. And I tell you, I have never regretted anything I've ever asked. The only thing that happens is somebody says no. They may actually respect me more after they've said no too, because I've asked. And I ask all the time. And I'm not saying I've got it nailed too. So please don't let me give anybody the impression that it's all wrapped. But the question I have for all of you is, what help do you need? And here's a great example of Caroline, lovely Caroline, who's on the line. She's part of a program, 52 Weeks of Greatness. Carla, you're in it too, you rock star. And Carol asked the question. This was the very first module. And she's saying, I'm looking for suggestions of how and where to look to grow my business. And she had the goal to start her own business by July. And for those of you who are closely monitoring the calendar, is it July yet? Nope. She started her business a month and a half ago, Caroline? Yeah, tons. She got tons of feedback from people, huge support, as you can see. I mean, this is just the beginning. Like, I just had to cut it off a screen capture. This is all that would fit on the page, but just tons and tons of support. So you can unmute yourself if you want, Caroline, and talk about if you want to around. What did asking for help, was it easy? Was it hard? What's been the impact?
Asking for help was hard for me because I like to think I can do everything myself. But this program, 52 Weeks of Greatness, has really helped me in my career and in my goals and with everything I've done to get this business off the ground. So it's been fabulous.
And Caroline, truly, you really are a superstar. So, by just asking for help, you just exponentially added and built on the talent that you already have that you're bringing to the table. So what help do you need right now? So on that piece of paper, and you know what? If there's something that maybe somebody on the phone can do, put in the chat box. What help can we provide you? Maybe there's an idea that you have. But for anyone who, if you don't need to ask, or want to ask us for help, what is some help that would be of benefit that you had? And then when can you go and ask that? So this is the program that I was telling you about. And the reason why I built it was because this is my son that I was telling you about, and this is the exact time, exact phase when he's having these mental health challenges. I came home one day late from work and he had cut marks up and down both of his arms. And I thought to myself, I mean, I've trained in mental health. I did my psychology undergrad, my master's in family therapy. I worked in children's aid with at-risk kids. I worked in mental health hospitals. How on earth did I miss this? Beating myself up big time. And I'm thinking, but he's doing so well. I mean, look at this cute guy. He's a goofball. He's fun. He's super affectionate and sweet. But he was struggling. And I didn't see it. I didn't notice it. Or perhaps it was just, you know, reality wise is maybe there's just so much stuff I was caught up in my own life. I didn't know what to do to shift out of the life that we had into a different life. I didn't know how to prioritize myself or him or the whole family. And so really what I decided to do was to build the program that I wish that I had had. So I hope that you've gotten huge value out of this program, because I tell you, our for huge value out of the things that we've been talking about, because by applying these 10 things as much as I possibly could has brought us to the point. This is, by the way, is our album cover as a family. We have zero musical abilities, but as we know in the music industry, that doesn't necessarily limit you from getting a record contract. So we got the record, the album cover all ready to go just for that record deal. So if anyone, I'll ask for help. Anyone knows somebody who wants a talentless family to cut a record? We've got the album cover. Anyway, but this is us today. And look at his smile. We're all supposed to be serious. Justin's so happy now. He can't even not smile in this picture. He's off antidepressants. He hasn't cut since we moved here. He's got wonderful friends for the first time he's ever had in his life. And he's just doing tremendously well. And I don't wake up every day now worried, am I going to lose my son? And so I'll tell you that the passion I have for this work is because of that. Now, if you're interested, and this is, zero pressure, because this may not be of any interest to you. And frankly, some of the people who are on the line, you're a part of this conversation today because this is just part of your journey as part of 52 Weeks of Greatness. If it's of value to you, it's a program that has lots of one-on-one coaching, group coaching, and a new module every week where we focus on a different aspect of greatness. If you have any interest in learning more about it, or if you want to be in the program, we've got a cohort starting in June. And because you've been on this webinar, I'm thrilled to be able to gift you 2 bonus coaching sessions you can use anytime. And there is truly so low pressure. I'm not even kidding. I really am just genuinely so incredibly appreciative that you showed up today, that you stood in the place of your own greatness, your talent, and that I hope you have less of this and more of this in your life as you experience your big rocks. And if you want to book into my calendar, you want to debrief on the things that we've talked about today, here's the link into my calendar. This is going to be available. I'm going to upload it. Actually, Caroline very kindly is going to upload it, and she's going to share with you so that you can get that. Contact me anytime you want to chat. You're so welcome, Deb, Tammy, thrilled to have you. Anyone else has a comment or a question as we wrap up, thrilled to. And as you hop off the line, what's the one most important of these 10 strategies that you're going to use even more of, or that you're going to start using? It's always important to wrap up with an intention. So which of those strategies most resonated for you? You can write it down. You can type it in. Oh, Tammy, tune in. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Yeah. Book time for me, Caroline. That's awesome. And I will honor it. I will not bug you during that time. That's cool. Paris Dental. Oh, Pam, Heather, Darlene, Carla. So glad that you enjoyed it. And for sure, chat soon. Thank you, everybody. We're 1 minute shy of the hour. So you get a whole minute. Talk about, getting a minute of your life to yourself. You can actually have that bio break after all in the middle of the day. Thanks for tuning in today. I hope you guys got exactly what you wanted and you needed out of it. Go forth, be awesome, be great as you already are. Be well, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye. I see people waving. Goodbye.